Well, Vancouver transgender beauty queen Jenna Talakova is getting her way, and the Miss Universe pageant is changing its rules. The pageant organization says it has modernized its rules to make sure this type of situation doesn't happen again. It has eliminated the rule that all contestants must be, quote, naturally born genetic women, which means she will be allowed to compete in this year's competition. Talakova said she has known since she was a female since she was 4 years old. She began hormone therapy at the age of 14 and had sex reassignment surgery in 2010. This is one of the topics that's been trending big time on our new social media website, ctvnews.ca/social. It sparked a lot of water cooler conversation and raised the issue of transgendered people entering competitions where gender is a factor. Our next guest, Kristen Worley, is a Canadian cyclist and an educator, and she says she faced similar discrimination to Jenna Talakova in organized athletic competition, and she joins us now. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, listen, you tell me you believe you were discriminated against in your sport.
Absolutely.
Like? Okay.
I mean, I've been working for the last 7 years with Sport Canada and some of our top Canadian sports leaders and the Canadian Centre of Ethics in Sport, working on policy that was put out very similar to that of the pageant by the International Olympic Committee back in 2003 regarding transitioned athletes.
You're a cyclist.
Right, I'm a Canadian high-performance cyclist. That's correct.
You hope to go to the Olympics.
What's happened as I was trying to... that has always been the goal. Mm-hmm. The challenge has been, in the last 4 years, has been getting into the high-performance cycle because the problem has been due to the policies that were put out by the International Olympic Committee back in 2003 regarding athletes who had transitioned, specifically targeting the female transitioner, that there was a policy that was done hypothetically by the International Olympic Committee, which myself and the Government of Canada and several international colleagues have been in discussions with the International Olympic Committee that was done hypothetically and was not based on actual physical science. And what we've been able to do here in Canada through my process as a transition athlete over the last 3.5 years, and now since July, I've been working with some of the top bioscientists in the world who have actually helped me, because actually what had happened is these policies that we're talking about were actually designed to oppress the athlete and actually oppress the athlete's endocrine systems, actually physically disabling them to be able to participate in high-performance sport.
Physically disabling them? What do you mean?
Well, what had happened is that there's these assumptions based on the design of the policies by the IOC, because they only did it hypothetically, that the concept of somebody who transitioned from the male sex to the female sex would have a competitive advantage over other females.
Would you not have a competitive advantage?
Absolutely not.
Why?
And what's happened is because there's actually, due to one very big denominator, which is the use of androgens, which is testosterone. Okay. All males and females have testosterone in their bodies, and particularly high-performance males and females have very high levels of testosterone. Testosterone is not just a male hormone, it's also a female hormone as well. Correct. So it's a social conditioning around how we understand female physiology, but also the use of testosterone.
All right, so let me ask you this, because for the layman who doesn't understand, they seem, you were born a male, correct?
I was born physically male. Physically male. With a gender of female.
With a gender of female.
Right.
And so you have taken hormones to alter yourself to become more, as you say, female. Right,
because what happened is, very simply, is that most people have the luxury of, very simply, gender is what's between your ears and sex is what's between your legs.
Right.
And what happens for most people, sex and gender go one direction. And for somebody who deals with something like gender identity, sex goes one way and gender goes the other way.
Yes.
So what it is, very simply, the hypothalamus gland, which determines our gender in male and female, because we all start off as female, when the Y chromosome doesn't kick in for the development of a male, the hypothalamus gland does not receive the testosterone, so it remains female.
I don't want to get too scientific.
Well, I'm just trying to help very simply.
Absolutely, and I think that's where people get bogged down. But what I want to understand for you is what you're saying, if I'm hearing your message correctly, is that you may have been born male, right? But it doesn't preclude you from participating in female sports because you've had the hormone therapy that has rendered you technically female?
Well, I've gone through the transition, and very simply is that because my body no longer was able to produce testosterone, which comes from females' ovaries, so what was happening is my female elite colleagues, who I have a tremendous relationship with, their bodies, their pituitary gland sends a message to their ovaries to send out more messages to help recovery for testosterone. And the issue is, for someone in my particular case, is that I don't have that area. I don't have ovaries.
Gotcha.
So what happens is my body actually continues to atrophy.
Okay, so it's not as black and white, is what I'm hearing you say.
Oh, not at all.
Neither male nor female, and there is this this group in between, such as yourself, that would like to participate in certain things, possibly make the Olympics, but there's nowhere for you to go. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think no. I think what it is, it's an educational issue, a social issue of how we understand females in sport, let alone in society. It's a gender issue of how we understand women. And I think these policies, actually, the work that we've been doing with the IOC, is more symbolic. Like my situation, even Jenna's in the pageant,
yes.
How we develop policy around women.
Yes.
It's what we're doing is we're putting women into boxes and classifying women.
Right.
We don't do this to men. And so if you fall outside of that, that's when you see like what happened to Jenna in the pageant.
Yes, and what's happened
to
you.
And myself and a very good friend of mine by the name of Castor Semia, who 2 years ago at World Athletics fell into this problem.
Yes.
And it was just basically because of what she looked like. It had, and in fact, all the information, the 99.9% of the information.
And she was extremely successful in her, she was the track and field star, correct?
Right, but what happened is it was conceived that she was intersex and had all these different conditions, which was untrue, actually untrue. And it was just based because of what she looked like.
All right, there's so much to talk about in this discussion, but what is your message? If you can encapsulate it for me and the viewers, what's your message then? Things need to change, obviously.
We need to have, as a society, need to change, because a lot, these actual projected views that we see in international sport, and as we've seen in the pageant, are derivatives of how we see women in our society. And I think it's kind of a transitional moment that's going on in our society, and it's that we're all different and that we all have a variance of diversity. And to say that there is such thing as a male pole and a female pole, that's not natural. We're all in the gray together.
Kristen, thank you so much for coming in and sharing
Thank you very
your
much,
story.
and thank you for the opportunity.